I am the disabled guy with the disabled life. That podcast is going to be about disabled issues and other things that interest me and others from the disabled community. I did this so that people understand what we go through in life and what we do, because a lot of what we do, it is interesting. I'm also going to talk a little bit about ADA and things of that nature. It's something that's very important to me and something that I learned a lot about when I did an episode. I'm going to talk more about it. Okay. This podcast, it's going to come out at 10 p.m. Saturday and Wednesday. So that's when that's when I think most people listen. Most people listen at night or have the episodes there for during for the daytime. So let me stop this. Stop. Okay, what I'm going to talk to you about today is how stress affects me. Because on Wednesday, on Saturday, I did an episode on how I cope with it. Now today, I'm going to talk to you about how it affects me. It affects me in an unusual way, but each person has their body deals with stress in different ways. One of the ways that it manifests for me, that affects me, is because I had surgeries in the past and my stomach is weak. Sometimes I can eat something and it won't bother me, but other times it will. It could be the same food twice or three times. So when I'm stressed, it's even worse. It just compounds it. It makes me sick. It just makes me generally sick, and I just don't feel good for about a day or two, and I have to stop and eat soup and do those things. And I've been going through a couple of weeks of stress right now. That's why this is so relevant and so much on my mind right now, because I've been going through it. I've been going through a lot. I've been going through it, and it's not something that I'm not going to divulge what's happening, but there is a fair amount of stress right now. That's why I decided to do this episode. It is something that annoys me because normally I can handle it, but this one has really hit me because it's been almost 2 weeks of constant stress, constant thoughts. It's not something that I wish on anybody. So it bothers me. In between all this, I've had to go to doctor's appointments where I had to go to an eye doctor, and then had everything scheduled, ready to go, and they called me the day before. And here we go. They add more stress because they changed the appointment. They don't even ask me if that's okay with me. They just change it. They had to change an address and all these things. Even after I had my transportation all set up and everything. So I had to jump on my computer, cancel that, the one I originally scheduled, and then immediately call the reservation people and make a new reservation for new times, new dates, and a new location. So all this has been really compounding me, but I'm glad that's over. But I wanted to tell you how I deal with it and how it affects me. It just makes me not want to sleep. It does all of these things. It makes me not want to sleep. It just causes problems. It's something that, it's problematic. It's weird. It's just obnoxious. It is obnoxious. It is. But what can we do? We just have to go through it, deal with it, and go with life. No big deal. Go with life. We're all adults here. We can handle it, but it is bad. It is not something I wish on my worst enemy, all this stress. But that's how it affects me. It just bothers. Sometimes it gives me headaches. I can't sleep. It's just not right. It's just weird, It's just not something I want to deal with. But as a matter of fact, I have to, because there's no other way. You deal with stressors, and then another problem that happened. Something got lost in the mail that was important. That was another problem. We dealt with it, but it was another problem. It was something more, things that I did not want to deal with. But that happened, and we had to just do it. It was something very. So it's one of these things where you're stuck. You have to deal with it. There's no other thing. Just cope with it and hope the rainy day stops soon, if you know what I'm trying to say here, because it is not something I like to have to deal with a bunch of stress and problems and blah, blah, blah. I hate that, but stress is part of life. You'll have to learn how to cope with the stress, how to deal with the stress. It's not something that I'm, but it got to the point where in the past, I would even let me see how I say this. I wouldn't barely eat because of stress, but I finally learned to eat light, and then that's how I cope with it. And if I start feeling bad, and there you go. That's how I deal with this. Stress is not something I know how to deal with stress. And the thing is, what's interesting is stress to me is more here at home. I can deal with things when I'm doing volunteer work, things that can be stressful point, but with that, it's easy. You can, once you get out of the situation, it's easier because you can get out once you take care of the situation. I'm not saying you leave it alone, because you don't want to leave it for the next person to deal with. But okay, yes, that's what I'm saying. Stress is something terrible. It doesn't let you sleep. In my case, it makes me sick in my stomach a little bit. But, what can you do? Stress is that. Thank you for listening to my episodes. My episodes will come out Monday and Wednesday. You can listen to me on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and many others, including iHeartRadio. The reason I've done this podcast is to give people a voice, because I think that the disabled community is missing a voice, but I am in a unique position of being able to afford minimal equipment to do this. I'm going to give you my email address. My email, if you want to contact me, is ke4key@gmail.com. And I will also, you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, at The Disabled Guy, and a few other places where I put my episodes out on Facebook too. With that, thank you for listening.